Hello, and welcome to the How to Make a podcast. My name is Casey Ruff from Boundless Body LLC, and I am the host of Boundless Body Radio. Before October of 2020, I was not a podcaster. Now, I have recorded hundreds of episodes featuring incredible guests, created tons of helpful content, and have consistently generated thousands of downloads every month since I began. I'm just a regular dude trying to share a message, and now I'm ready to show you my process, my successes and failures, and everything I've learned along the way to help you start your own podcast. Together, we'll explore the entire process of having a podcasting idea and take it all the way to publishing your first episode and explore all the steps in between. Then, I'll give you all the tools that you will need so you can record as many episodes that you want to release after that. Podcasting is one of the most enriching skills I've ever added to my life, and I've learned a ton by talking with some of my heroes and sharing it with anyone who wants to join us on our journey. So, sit back, grab a notebook, take some notes, and welcome to the How to Make a podcast. Hello. This is Casey Ruff, host of the How to Make a podcast. Thank you for joining us on the final episode of this first release. This is episode 10. We're calling this one So Now What? You have taken this process all the way through. Hopefully by now you have published your first podcast and are seeing how it's doing. And so now the decision comes, like, what are you going to do from here? How are you going to let this thing evolve? Is this something that you are going to continue with? Or is it something that you found maybe isn't cut out for you? It may also be something that you're considering the format of your show. Should you put out constant episodes, once a week, once a month on a standard cadence? Or is this something you're going to do maybe at a certain season of your life, every spring or every summer when you have a little bit more free time, and make this more season-based? So I just wanted to talk about some options of things to do along the way. I'm going to share with you some of the things that we've done along the way, and hopefully give you a sense of what it's like to continue on this path of podcasting and things to keep in mind. So the first thing I want to address in this episode is also the very first thing that we talked about in episode 1. Remember your why. This is your North Star when you are not getting as many downloads as you want, when it's a lot of work to invite guests, when you're spending a lot of time to edit, when you're spending a lot of money to host, when you're spending time to market your podcast. Your North Star is always going to be the why are you doing this? And you may find that your North Star is not as strong as you thought it was, and maybe this really wasn't for you. Or you may find that even in times where it's difficult, where you don't want to do the work, you push through and get it done because your why is so important to you, and this work is so important to you that you will continue on even when it becomes difficult or painful or expensive or anything that comes up. With that said, we want you to really remember, if you continue the process, to really enjoy the process and kind of just let it come to you over time. Your first episode is not going to be great. It's awesome that you pushed record, and we want you to do that. But if you're just getting started with this, you have a lot to learn, and that's going to unfold over a long period of time. And I think the best thing to do is just be patient with the process. Understand that it is a process, and if you want to be truly good at anything in life, it's going to require you to ask the question, what am I willing to struggle with? What am I willing to suck at first so that I can then become better? And I'll give you a recent example of this. I've talked about this on Boundless Body Radio. I recently was given a gift card to a golf shop. I've played golf a few times a year for my entire life, enough to really suck at it and not really get better at it. I mean, I've taken lessons, I've practiced. Some years I've had more time and I've been able to play a little bit more, but it's not really my thing. And anyway, I walked into this golf shop with this gift card, and within about 30 seconds, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, I need to quit golf. This is not a passion of mine. This is not worth sucking at so badly that I'm almost like hitting people in the other fairway. I do this because I love to spend time with my dad, but I can find other ways to do that without doing something that I really don't want to spend a lot of time on, and I don't want to improve. because I probably never will improve, I'd rather do something else like this show or whatever. So anyway, I had to tell my dad that like, we're going to play golf one last time. I'm going to really enjoy it as much as possible. And I'm going to donate my stuff. I'm going to get rid of it so that somebody else who really loves it can really appreciate it. And so really trying to be mindful about what the reason why you're doing this can help you decide how much time and energy you want to be spending on this. To give you an example of that, I want to play something that is completely cringeworthy. This is our very first episode on Boundless Body Radio. This was our first time pressing record, and you can hear how not great it was. Why don't we take a brief break? I feel like you are going to start to grill me.
Your turn.
Let's take a quick break. And we're back. Bethany, I think it's time you can ask me a few questions. Okay, that is more than enough to subject you to. Oh man, horrible editing. The sound quality was absolutely terrible. Static fuzz. We were using two completely different microphones that had two completely different uses. One was given to me. The other was the $40 Amazon one, which we talked about in our hardware episode. Really nothing wrong with it. We ended up getting the levels a little bit better on that. But just such a vast difference in the quality and in the final product. So again, just know that things are going to get better over time if this is something you're passionate about, and just be patient with that process. Another thing to assess is to think about some of the things that are working well for you and some of the things that are not working well for you. And don't be too married to your ideas that you can't jettison something that you don't feel like is working. In that clip that I just played you heard a 20-second bumper of our theme music that we play on Boundless Body. And the way we set up the episodes in the very beginning was the show was supposed to be basically an hour long with 3 individual kind of topics. They would be like 20-minute topics with that 20-second bumper in between all of it. And what I realized after doing a few episodes of that was you would change subjects so sharply. And also, that's valuable time that we were losing with our guests because we were doing that and then trying to reintroduce a completely different topic. So within a few episodes, we completely got rid of that. We stopped doing that altogether, and we just do a more standard format where we're just interviewing straight through so we can really maximize the time that we have with our guests. Another thing that we used to do is we would conclude every episode by asking what my wife and I call the 3 questions. The 3 questions are something that we came up with that we ask each other every Saturday to recap our week, essentially. And those 3 questions are, what is one thing that you have learned or changed your mind about? What is one thing that you wish you had done better? And what is one thing that you are very proud of? And we've been asking each other that for quite a while and really loved the discussion and loved looking back on our weeks and seeing where we were successful, where we needed to improve. And we decided it would be really fun to ask our guests those same questions. And it was the same kind of thing. We would get really sporadic answers and it would take up a lot of time, and we would lose time that we could have been talking about whatever our guest was really, really good at and whatever their content was. And so that's really something that we decided to get rid of as well. And we just ask our last signature question, which is basically, what is one simple tip that you want somebody to walk away from this conversation with? And so those are things that we have changed over time. Besides changing out equipment and getting better at asking questions and things like that, just know that, over time, you're going to be able to look back and see things that you thought were going to work well for whatever your style of podcast is, and just be willing to get rid of the things that don't really line up or didn't really work as well as you thought they would. But we at Boundless Body Radio decided that we loved podcasting so much. It was adding so much richness and joy into our life that we decided we were willing to go through the process of getting better at this, even if it cost us a lot of money, even if it took a long time, even if it was a lot of work. We decided it was totally worth it. And that's why we've been able to push through when, again, the numbers of podcasts that only have 10 episodes or less is 36%. So either a lot of people have just started podcasts and they haven't done very many episodes, or they decided that podcasting was not worth all that effort. And either way, that's totally fine and fair. People are busy. This might not be your passion. It's amazing that you would even go and try to do it. A lot of people wouldn't even push record. We talked about that imposter syndrome in episode 1. And so, if you are willing to let this process refine you, then just, again, like we said in the beginning, be patient with yourself and understand that there is a growth process. There's a growth mindset. There's a yet mentality of like, yeah, I'm not that great at that right now, but if I continue going down this path, you will get better and better. Also, the episodes that you've created, they're already done and they live in the universe and people can download them at any time. I'm honestly always surprised by people finding our show and then listening to episode 4, which was like a year ago. It was a long time ago. People find those topics. Your guest will sometimes reshare old episodes that they've been on, or people will just start following them and will want to listen to a lot of their content, and you are going to pop up. And so the growth process, especially when it comes to downloads and people that are finding your show, it's a slow build. It's like putting money in the stock market or a long-term hedge fund or whatever. Like it builds very, very slowly, but starts to compound over time to where you're getting more downloads, you're getting more people finding you. And again, I've been so shocked at how well we've grown over time at Boundless Body Radio and how many people find past episodes and end up really liking them. Some people message me and say how great they were, even though I wasn't as good at asking questions back then. Those things still exist and people still find them. So I want you to just kind of keep that in mind as you are deciding what to do with podcasting long term. That said, we hope you have enjoyed this series. It's something that I was not planning on doing. The idea came to me really quickly. I knew I had to do it. I don't even exactly know why, but it's been really fun to go through this process with you. So what's next for us? We are going to continue Boundless Body Radio for the foreseeable future. That is something I have no desire to stop or to quit. I will continue paying to host that, to edit that. The time for the interviews, reaching out to people, that is not going to stop for the foreseeable future. I'm having way too much fun with it. Some people have told me, I really wish you wouldn't release as much content because I get lost in it. Like 3 times a week is too much for an interview style podcast. And I tell them like, yeah, you might be right, but I don't really care because I'm having such a great time doing it. So that format will not change. We're going to continue with that for a while. As far as the how to make a podcast, I've really been thinking about how to continue this long term after we kind of put this guide together of these 10 episodes, which we're going to release as a batch, that I would love for this to live on and help a lot of people make their own podcasts for a long, long time. I've been thinking about how to continue that because you already know the process. We just told it to you and shared it with you. There's not really a lot of places to go. So what I've decided to do is to turn this from here into an interview style podcast. We will definitely be releasing episodes at way less frequency than what we do at Boundless Body Radio. We'll see what that ends up being. I think the maximum would be maybe once a week and the minimum would be maybe once a month, and somewhere in between the two is where we're going to land. So as of now, the format is going to be, I will invite other podcasters onto the show. And we will basically cover everything that we covered in our episode 1. Why are you doing this? What is your show? Who is your audience? How do you do it? What's your process? And when do these come out? That way we can get definitely some good cross promotion. We can get people highlighted for the great work they're doing and also give you some options of ways that you can be thinking about your podcast, especially as it evolves. So that is something that's really exciting for me. I can't wait to get to work on that. I've already reached out to a few people that I want to interview, and we are going to keep this going for as long as possible. As always, we always appreciate your feedback. And if there's something you want to hear, something we're doing too much of, something we're not doing enough of, feel free to shoot us a message anytime. We are going to link the Facebook page as the primary source of where you can go for information. So you can DM us there if you like, but we're going to keep this journey going and hopefully you will join us with that as well. And that is the conclusion of the series. Thank you so very much for joining me on this journey. And like I said, I really, really hope this helps you. So take care and look forward to more great content in the future. Thank you for listening to the How to Make a Podcast podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a rating and review on Apple. Also, be sure to check out the show that made all of this possible, Boundless Body Radio, where we provide tons of helpful and informative content, feature incredible guests, and talk all about health and wellness. Cheers, and thank you for joining us on the How to Make a Podcast podcast.